The seventh largest country in the world wants to buy 420,000 Bitcoin. What's strange about this country is earlier in the week, they made a massive move. They want to become the third country in the world to have citizenship-based taxation. But before we dive into how this huge move could put your savings at risk, ask yourself this: why is the opposition party, why is the opposing party announcing their Bitcoin plans now? That is the big question here. Obviously, I think we all know why very quickly. Anyways, I'm here with Sophie one more day. Nico is back, but he needs a break from traveling, so we'll give him a rain check on the day. Anyways, let's go into this. So you may be asking, of course, you guys probably saw Emmanuel Macron on the thumbnail. So yes, we are talking about France. Now, what is interesting is they are now proposing a, exit tax. They have been proposing an exit tax for a few years now, but now they have officially proposed this exit tax as a part of their national budget for 2026. And of course, French citizens will have to pay taxes on their global income if they move to a region with 40% lower taxes than France. So, the U.S. does something very similar. You can't escape your global taxation if you're a U.S. citizen. And this is something we've been talking about for a long time. As the system does get more strain, as there are more financial troubles, we know what they're going to do to your assets and your savings. As he put it right here in the very end, I've been warning you, European countries are bankrupt and they will try to seize your assets. I don't think anyone is actually surprised by this. Of course, this has been a long proposal. They've been proposing this for a long time, but now it seems to be officially added into their budget. Now, from our perspective of Bitcoiners, this is why you invest in Bitcoin, or rather save in Bitcoin, is because, look, we're not saying don't do, we're saying follow the law here, but it's a lot harder to take your wealth, your assets when they are in Bitcoin. And I think the world is going to have to wake up to this. So that's the kind of context of what is going on. So moving a little forward, a little further on this, this is where it does get kind of interesting, is because an opposing party just announced a strategic Bitcoin reserve in France. Now, they don't really have that much power here, but I think it is starting to show you that people are looking towards Bitcoin as a tool for freedom, a tool for the citizens to maintain their sovereignty, maintain their wealth, and you just love to see that. So I'm going to break down the proposal a little bit. We're going to start with this Yahoo Finance headline. It goes, France welcomes reserve bill to purchase 2% of Bitcoin supply. Now, the math here, the technicals of it, again, one, this is a small party in France. They're not the ruling power here, or the ruling party. But they are proposing something very similar to what we saw President Trump announce. And we still don't know what's going to happen with the strategic Bitcoin reserve. Again, to kind of refresh you, the U.S. talked about doing buying 1 million Bitcoin over the next 5 years. They're doing something pretty similar. So France introduced this bill. And again, I know we've been covering a lot of the stuff on the nation state level, and there's been a lot of bills proposed. Most of them don't really hold any water. They don't really, they're not going to actually be made into laws. But I think it is going in the right direction. So, again, they introduced a bill to accumulate 2% of Bitcoin supply. So what 2% would be, I guess, 420,000 Bitcoin. And this marks a strategic move in the region and a demonstration of the country's footprint in the cryptocurrency space. The plan to acquire 420,000 Bitcoin over 7 to 8 years. I think that time frame, when I read this, I'm like, I don't think, even if they propose this and pass it this year, considering that I believe the price of Bitcoin is going to go up a lot, it's going to be incredibly hard for them to acquire that much over the next 7 to 8 years. At least that's my opinion. Anyways, they proposed a bill yesterday. Again, this is by the UDR party in France, which has not that much power. They have 16 seats. So again, this proposal is probably not going to get pushed through, but it does go to show that people are waking up to this idea of, hey, if your country is proposing global citizenship tax or talking about, confiscating your assets and seizing your assets, then obviously I think the timing is very interesting where we get this big announcement. They're finally going to push through the citizenship-based taxation. And then one of the smaller opposing parties announced, hey, we want to do a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Now, I know a lot of people, when you saw it on Twitter, were essentially maybe conflating the two, that France is considering this bill. I mean, I guess you could say that, but in reality, I think it's an opposing party that is talking about starting a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Obviously, I've been covering this on the show for a long time, this idea that the European Union or Europe in general is not in a good place financially. And this is why I really like this original tweet here. It's European countries are bankrupt. And obviously, we know what that means. They're going to continue, or rather try to confiscate assets on this. So on that note, there is another interesting news coming out of Europe, something very similar. But Sophie, you were talking to the demons this morning, aka ChatGPT. Do you still have that up? Because I think it was a good read of what's going on.
Yeah, I do. And actually, before I go and tell you what the demon says, I think that something's going to have to give in Europe at some point, because you can't implement a CDBC based on nothing, and you can't charge an exit tax based on unrealized gains that are essentially worthless, right? So
yeah, and that's the craziest part, is the unrealized gains part. Like
right,
the US doesn't even have that.
right. So that's what the demon enlightened me on. It says, under French law, if you transfer your residence outside of France for tax purposes, which is also interesting, it has to be for tax purposes. So like, what if you move to Uganda, like, are you gonna get chased there, like, even if it wasn't for tax purposes? I don't know, maybe you just like Uganda. You may be liable for an exit tax on unrealized capital gains, depending on past residence duration and asset value. So what that's telling me is, if you lived in France your whole life and you happen to be rich, we will chase you to the ends of the earth to get that unrealized tax gains, which is unbelievable. Do you transfer that in liquidity, or do you transfer that in assets? That's my other question. Anyway, it continues saying, articles note that France's exit tax regime became more stringent over time. For example, the virtual sale concept of unrealized gains is cited, and that's from Citizen X. Some recent commentary in 2025 suggests France's forthcoming budget includes provisions for global taxation of French citizens even after their departure. The taxation regime for crypto in France treats gains as taxable and has specific forms of disclosure and obligations. So what this means is, France is eyeing up large Bitcoin reserves, and it makes sense that they would want to discourage the wealthy from moving their assets or changing residences. So it's like they want to have their cake and eat it too. An exit tax.
Literally where that saying came from. But hey, I digress.
Yeah, and the thing that caused the thing that has landed us here now. Anyway, an exit tax, wealth/profit tax regime serves as golden handcuffs. That's exactly what it is. They will keep you there paying super high. So it's like, either pay our 60 to 80% wealth tax, which we have implemented for you to live here, or pay an unrealized tax gain for an undisclosed amount, especially if you're wealthy and move to any ends of the earth. An exit tax, wealth/profit tax regime serves, oh, I already read that. For Bitcoin or crypto, that means France may be sending two messages. One, we welcome strategic accumulation of Bitcoin and see it as national value. And two, but if you're holding it here or moving it out, we will tax you accordingly. So yes, this exit tax story lines up with the Bitcoin reserve story, whether it's intended goal to keep Bitcoin in the country or a byproduct of broader fiscal policy is up for interpretation. But, it's pretty clear that they want both. And honestly, this might be the point where the left in France capitulates, to the idea of having a Bitcoin strategic reserve, because if they have at least 2% of it, and their citizens are holding it, or they count that 2% by virtue of unrealized tax gains or potential exit taxes, that might actually allow for the left to raise taxes in general on the wealthy or on the population as a whole. So they say, like, either pay our taxes or pay them anyway as you exit, and they're an unrealized capital gain. Or keep your money in euros, which will eventually become a CBDC and be surveilled by your every move. Deal with it.
Yeah, and this UDR party is like center right from my understanding of this. So it is interesting, like kind of what we're seeing here, where again, Bitcoin is bipartisan. It's money for anyone. Anyone can use it. But it is interesting that the right of most countries are starting to pick up on this idea of, hey, maybe we got to integrate Bitcoin into our, campaign, into kind of our ideology here, because it does align perfectly with a lot of the stuff that we believe in. And look, we've been talking about this for a while, that this was most likely going to happen, that this was going to very quickly get picked up by, people on the right side of the aisle, because it does align with a lot of the things. And that does go into a lot of the stuff we've been saying for a while, that since this has happened, the left does pick it up and they kind of make this as a negative thing. It's like, stay away from this Bitcoin thing because it is right technology.
Well, but we also just saw California adopt a law where they see Bitcoin as property. And while that's not by any means having a reserve, or a reserve that Bitcoiners would want the state to have anyway, it is still some kind of exposure. And what I mean to say with that is, the left will find a way to politicize Bitcoin and crypto and use it for their, means to an end.
Okay. Yeah.
And also my prediction is that the next country that's going to adopt a Bitcoin strategic reserve, specifically Bitcoin, is going to be Japan.
Oh yeah, the Japan stuff is. You know what I saw this morning? That So, anyways, if you don't get the context, of course, Donald Trump was just in Japan. He did the like Japan is back hats, and Japan and America are entering the golden era, or whatever the meme is. I think you might be right, and that does go into a lot of the stuff we've been covering throughout this year of what's going on in Japan's bond market. They're having a lot of trouble right now. But I did see this morning, Japan is the biggest holder of U.S. Treasuries, which I think is the link from why Trump is, going to Japan, trying to kind of court the Japanese new prime minister. Obviously, there's the meme of him being good friends with, I forget what the guy named,
Shinzo Abe.
Yeah, Shinzo Abe, the GOAT. So I think all of these are connected. I think Sophie might be right. Japan most likely will look towards, Bitcoin very soon, if they are aligning with a lot of the Trump kind of administration policies. I think Japan will probably follow very soon. But we do have another European country that also proposed a strategic Bitcoin reserve, again, coming from the right of the right party right now. So we have this breaking this morning. Germany is also proposing a national Bitcoin reserve and views Bitcoin as state-free money, which is obviously, I don't know if I could say a hot take here, but it's an interesting narrative to see come out of any political party here. So the AFD.
I think Germany is hurting, bro.
Oh, Germany's cooked.
Germany is like, they probably cry themselves to sleep every night when they see the opportunity that they completely squandered after selling all of that Bitcoin. How long ago was it now? Like 2 years ago, when it was at 56,000. Yikes.
Yeah, and that's also one interesting point here is, of course, we all remember Germany sold 50,000 coins, dumped on us, and we've been making fun of them for a long time. So at least some people in Germany are waking up to this idea that, hey, maybe we need some Bitcoin. And again, it is coming from the right. This is from the AFD party, which from my understanding is, a right-leaning, like a very right-leaning nationalistic party. So I don't think they're I don't think they're in power. Can you fact check me? Yeah, they're not in power.
I don't even have to look that up to know that they're not in power, but they are coming into prominence, especially, you see them a lot more often now on social media. But no, to be honest, I don't think that there is ever going to be another right-leaning government in Germany ever again, for obvious reasons. But also just because in general, I'm serious. No, I'm really not trying to be funny. I think I lived in Berlin for, a month or something like that. It was a short time, but I got to immerse myself in the culture and kind of understand how people were there. And it's a very, 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 very liberal city. So I don't see, any type of conservatism coming anytime soon.
But again, it is very interesting kind of the narrative that they're painting around this. Of course, state-free money. You kind of love to see it.
But remember that if people fight against this, like, you have to understand the power that the left has lays within the people. And if enough people perceive Bitcoin to be a right-leaning topic of conversation, currency, whatever you want to call it, it's going to dissuade a lot of people. It's going to dissuade half of the population until they figure out how to use it for their own means and gains. And, I think it's a completely absurd way to look at it. I think that Bitcoin really is for anybody, and that it takes the best parts of the left and the best parts of the right, and it puts it together, because it takes away the, discrimination that people used to face for, getting loans, and it makes, money a lot more private. It really empowers the individual, and it can empower collectives as well. So it's a shame that we're all so divided by political lines, because in reality, Bitcoin is that one thing that should be completely bipartisan. And I hope that the left doesn't see this as something that only belongs to the right, because they would be missing out on a huge, huge opportunity.
Yeah, everyone needs better money. That's like as clear as day. But let's break down this article a little bit, because, again, it's interesting to hear the narratives kind of start to evolve. Of course, I've been telling you guys, and I think we've all been kind of dealing with this idea that ever since kind of Trump came out with pro-Bitcoin, politics has landed on our door here. Wall Street, the institutions, and the politicians have landed on our door basically this year. And we're since the beginning of the year to where we are now, almost at the close of the year, you are starting to see the perspectives around Bitcoin, the narrative start to shift around Bitcoin, and it is happening very fast. I know we're all kind of worn down. Everyone's been doing the "I'm tired boss" meme right now because the price has been so stable. Had a lot of good news, and nothing has really changed in terms of price of Bitcoin. But again, I think the foundations are being built as we speak. So here we go. I'm going to read a little bit of this, and it goes, "This initiative marks a potential turning point in Europe's largest economy." Again, this is why Germany is kind of one of the important countries in Europe. It is one of the largest economies. And hey, they've been getting cooked right now. I don't know if you followed along a lot of the different policies, but they've basically been making a lot of errors. And they're like the European lackey, or is it lackey? They're the whipping post here. They're just getting cooked. And I've been saying for a while that I of course I'm an American, and I do take a more American centric view here, and I've been saying, man, I would not want to be in Europe. And I know a lot of you guys out there are Europeans, and I've been saying for a while on the show that I really hope we start to see the average European wake up to this, or even some of the politicians wake up to this idea that if they don't figure it out soon, Europe is really on its way down. And I think Bitcoin could be a good part of that policy. And here we go. And of course, Germany, the significance, as everyone was saying, as Sophie just said a minute ago, a year ago, they liquidated 50,000 coins, and everyone was just laughing at them. And I even used them, the beginning of the week. If you owed more than $800 in Bitcoin, you owed more Bitcoin than the largest economy in Europe. Anyways, this notion, or this motion, which needs to be approved, of course, just being dropped. It most likely won't pass. It's not coming from the ruling party. It would make Germany the first major European nation to integrate Bitcoin directly into its national reserves, signaling a growing shift in Europe towards viewing Bitcoin not as a speculative asset, but as a sovereign reserve instrument. This is something we always talk about on the show. This is what it really is. It is not just a speculative vehicle. It's not just something to get gains on. This is, sovereign wealth. This is what it's all about, is truly taking your own sovereignty back. Anyways, I think this is where it gets the most interesting, though. The AFD's vision for Bitcoin as a, quote, state-free money. The motion submitted last week calls on the federal government to begin accumulating Bitcoin as part of its long-term reserve strategy. And the proposal argues that the EU's MiCA framework was designed for centrally issued tokens and should not apply to Bitcoin, which has no issuer or central authority. It urges the government to avoid regulatory burdens on non-custodial wallet providers and Lightning node operators, maintain Germany's tax exemption on Bitcoin held for more than a year, and ensures that private mining or Lightning activity is not classified as commercial. It also frames Bitcoin as state-free money that protects individual freedom, in contrast to the planned digital euro, which it warns could enable surveillance and control. Honestly, whatever you think about the AFD here at this point, I love the narrative that they're talking about Bitcoin. Like, I want to see our politicians talk about Bitcoin in this way. This is what we talk about constantly. Though I know in the US, we probably have a more of an uphill battle here. If the Trumps came out and said something very similar, like, they'd get cooked.
That's what I was saying. We're so divided by political lines that, Trump says, yeah, the sky is blue, and the leftist would say, actually it's, indigo closer to purple and green. Like, it's unfortunate, but it's true. And also you have to understand that the US is kind of like the final boss in this fiat fight. And so Europe is already on the tail ends of that fight, because they're about to have a CBDC introduced into their lives. And yeah, like, while that likely will not happen in the US, we still are the global reserve, and this is a bigger threat than, a CBDC for Bitcoin, because it's power, right? So
Yeah, but you love to see that they're starting to view Bitcoin in the context of the anti-CBDC. If you are in Europe right now and you're listening to Christine Lagarde and you see her, strutting around the what's it, Arn River, I think it was this morning. You heard her rhetoric.
The thirst trap.
Yeah, the thirst trap this one. I don't know if you guys saw that, guys. My ex Chrissy is thirst trapping. She's turning into a vlogger on her Twitter. But if you heard the stuff that she's been saying, and you're not just fully, drinking the Kool-Aid for the European Union, you're looking at that and you're like, this is not the future that I want. I want a different type of future. As we've been saying for a long time on the show, the classic meme, Bitcoin or slavery. Bitcoin is freedom. And then we're entering, or rather on the other side, there's this dystopian future backed by CBDCs. And arguably, a lot of these state-issued stablecoins, the public and private sector kind of aligning here. And it doesn't make you feel like you are entering into a better world. It actually makes you feel like you're entering into some kind of Orwellian 1984 future, which I don't think anyone really wants. When they break it down, you ask someone, is this the future you want? Most people do not believe in, the narrative that the future, like Christine Lagarde, is giving to the people here. So it is interesting that we are seeing the AFD party, and of course a smaller party in France, essentially latch onto these Bitcoin narratives and be like, look, we need an outside money. We need a money that isn't controlled, that is not state owned. In this time of instability, in this time of uncertainty, we can't just continue to double down on a money that is not working for us, which is why we always say on the show, like, everyone needs better money. This is what it really all boils down to. The reason we see a lot of the problems in the world right now, the reason we're seeing such uncertainty in the world right now, for better or worse, it is because the US dollar, this currency, this paper money, this IOU, is the world reserve currency. We got to remember, the current monetary experiment that we are living through as fiat, as currency, as a paper IOU being the world reserve currency, it hasn't been like this for that long. It's really been only in the blink of an eye. The last 100 years, well, really, you could argue since 71, is when we've been living on this paper money, IOU, debt as money, government words as money decree. And we can see the havoc it has, unleashed on the world. And here we are as Bitcoiners, just looking at it and be like, we just need to get back on a hard money standard. Like, it's really that simple. Obviously, it's not going to fix everything.
Well, we need to dismantle the inequality of power here. I think that's what it ultimately comes down to. Like, when we ask the question, what is money? Yes, we use it to transact. Yes, we use it as a means of storing value, but it's also ultimately just a store of power. And when one party can print it, into oblivion for free and control that medium of exchange for everybody else, who really holds the power? What does money actually morph into? It morphs into this great inequality that people are forced to contend with. And that's what people are waking up to now. That's what the internet has enabled us to realize. That's what freedom of speech has enabled us to realize. And I think that a lot of people are waking up to it. They're realizing that their banks have way more control than they should, and they're looking for a way out, and they know that it exists. And those who don't, they're going to continue to go along with the status quo until they realize that it's too late and things get worse than they already are.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. And I think my final point to kind of this conversation is that I'm extremely happy to see Bitcoin, I think, be finally, even though maybe it's not perfect, and it doesn't really matter about your political views here, because I think it's much bigger than just left or right spectrum. But I love to see that we are starting to see Bitcoin enter the mainstream conversation as a tool for freedom, as a tool to oppose oppression for everyone out there. And it really, it all goes back to, hey, we can't save anything. I forget what the numbers are, but essentially every one of us as just an average layman is like worse off than mid-century peasants here. And there's no escape if you don't have a good money. And as you were saying earlier, the divide right now is larger than it's ever been. I think the last metric I saw was the top 1% owns, I forget what the number is, but it's like 80% of all the world's wealth or something like that. I'll double check.
Bring up the stock market. I think it's like 7.
No, it is. It's I think it's 8.
2.3% of companies ever since, Wall Street was created have donated, not donated, but they've created the entirety of the wealth of the S&P 500. So, I don't think that that's a control thing. There's been so many companies who have given value to this country and to the world at large. It has to do with the money, and it has to do with how these companies have gamed the system so that not only they could beat out their competitors, but they could beat out the normal everyday person. And that's not capitalism, that's cronyism. And that's just as bad as...
We haven't lived in a capitalist system for a long time.
Correct. And I think that Bitcoin is kind of like the ultimate equalizer, because we could go back to an equal system where we reward value, we reward incentives, we reward people who actually earn what they are making. But right now, there's so much proof of stake in the system, not just economically, but culturally, and the things that we value in society, that it feels like it's almost impossible to get out of this rat race. And Bitcoin is that opportunity to get out. And I think a lot of people, again, because they're being faced with the threat of a CBDC, because they are tired of living this life where other people are controlling them through the monetary system, they are figuring out that this is kind of the only way. And by the way, countries at large may be feeling that way too. This might not just be an individual sentiment. I think that countries like, the countries that started BRICS are realizing this. They don't want to be under the thumb of the dollar anymore, because they realize that we are holding a tremendous amount of power by just being able to print it. And so they're even trying to divert and find their own path through making a new monetary system backed by gold, backed by oil. But what they don't realize is that those assets aren't completely finite. And what gives Bitcoin its edge, as we all know, is the scarcity aspect of it. So I think that if governments are waking up to that, and they, a country like France, who loves to control its people, is waking up to that, and they're understanding that it's either Bitcoin or slavery, like, to the system, to the dollar, to the everything that we've been dealing with before, then I think that it's perfectly reasonable for Germany and the rest of the European Union to wake up to the fact that Bitcoin is going to save them.
Yeah, and I think as we enter in the next couple of years, particularly in the short term, I think we're going to see this divide increase. Where I think we're going to see more and more divide be kind of spread around Bitcoin and what it actually does. One side's going to hate Bitcoin, the other side's probably going to embrace Bitcoin, and they might just have a knee-jerk reaction and hate Bitcoin because the opposite side is embracing Bitcoin, where in reality, as I've been saying for a long time, it's like if everyone embraced Bitcoin, then maybe we get back to okay, now we got to, view them on their other policies here. But
Yeah,
where we are now, it's like if you're embracing Bitcoin, you may not be perfect, but you're probably a little closer to what I believe in.
Yeah, actually, the reality is that if everybody embraced Bitcoin, we would all be closer to getting what we want. And that seems like an impossibility right now. But the reality is that if the base layer of society, if the economy was fixed, essentially by backing it with a hard asset again, like it used to be before 1971, then we could actually get to talking about the issues that are dividing us and get closer to a solution that would be better for everyone.
Bars. This is why Nico is a one issue voter.
Oh god.
He's back, so I control him, guys. He's back. Okay, I control him a little bit now. All right, guys, I'm gonna keep it moving. Of course, before I do want to remind you guys to smash the like button, comment on the show, let us know what you think, and then of course hit the subscribe button if you like what we're doing here. We have shorter, more digestible content on our channel. We drop probably the most content out of anyone, and then of course, for the rest of the show, I got a good clip from Anthony Pompliano, and a lot of people have been talking about the great rollover from gold into Bitcoin. It might be happening as we speak. And then, I think what we're seeing right now, I know everyone's tired for the news. I think we might be seeing a perfect coiled spring here, guys. I think the consolidation we're seeing is actually very healthy. We'll see if there's still a little volatility. We might have a little more volatility later today after this FOMC meeting. And I am going to try to keep the show going a little bit. I don't know if I'll be able to stretch the show out long enough to hear the announcement, but if we do go a little longer, then we'll probably do a live reaction to what the FOMC meeting actually announced. They say it's around 2:30. Who knows if it actually happened at 2:30, but if it does, we might still be on the show live and we can chat about it. So again, before I go on, I do want to talk about our partner, Bitcoin Well. If you are in the market to buy some Bitcoin, make sure you go to bitcoinwell.com/simply. The reason we love them, the reason we partnered with them is because they have never lost Bitcoin. They will never lose your Bitcoin because they never hold your Bitcoin. And this is the best way to buy Bitcoin because once your dollars go through, it goes straight into your cold storage and then you secure your coin. As we've learned throughout the history of Bitcoin, If you leave your Bitcoin on an exchange, if you give your Bitcoin to a third party, there's a non-zero chance that they might rug pull you and you won't actually have that Bitcoin. So this is why we love Bitcoin Well, because they send the Bitcoin directly to you. That does mean you need a Bitcoin wallet when you sign up. Maybe it's an extra step. Maybe it's one more hurdle for some of you newer people, but I'm telling you, if you get through that, you're going to feel secure. You're going to sleep better at night. Scan the QR code right here. Here. And you will get 3 chances to win 1 million sats, which is, roughly about $1,000 and some change right now. And when you sign up and you refer friends and you buy Bitcoin, you get more chances, more points to win 1 million sats, guys. So free sats for everyone, every single spin. But I haven't seen the 1 million sats one, and I really want to see someone that watches Simply Bitcoin get those sats. All right, guys, on that note, one commercial break, and we'll be right back.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, StampSeed. Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Are your seed phrases really secure? StampSeed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you'll need for you to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates. Instead of just writing them down on paper, paper is fragile. Titanium plates are strong. Your words are actually stamped into the titanium plate with this hammer and these letter stamping tools. Once the words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamp seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They are also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. And now you can customize your titanium seed plates. You can upload your design or logo and they will laser engrave it on the back of your seed plate, the opposite side of where the words are. Stamp your seed on StampSeed and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the stampseed.com store.
Okay, guys, we are back, and the current Bitcoin price is, let me refresh this. The current Bitcoin price is 111,260. At least, at least
we're so close to 11.
Yeah, at least I don't know what exchange Clark Moody's dashboard is connected to, but we'll take this price right now, apparently. So 111,260. The decline from all-time high is negative 11.8. The current market cap is 2.22 trillion. And the block height, TikTok, next block, the only time that matters, 921,347. Okay, so as I was telling you, we've actually been covering this idea on the show. I think I started last week when we saw the gold price retrace about 5% on Friday, lost a couple trillion on its market cap. It got all the way down to like a negative 10 retracement from yesterday. Currently, last I saw this morning is roughly around 8% retracement. Remember, if some of that capital, even a small percentage of that capital flows into Bitcoin, that means the price is going up. And that's really probably what everyone cares about. But if all of that literally rolled over today, I don't know what the 8% math would be. But that would take it to about like 250, 300K per coin. I don't think that is what's happening, but we are starting to see some life back into the price. And again, we're seeing the gold retrace. And a lot of people have been connecting this to what happened during the 2020 bull run. So with that, I will play this clip from Anthony Pompliano, which kind of breaks down if this is happening, what we'll see.
Gold runs first. Bitcoin kind of hung out around $10,000, $8,000, somewhere in that range. All of a sudden, the gold run got exhausted. There was now not as much demand because so many people have been buying gold, and you had gold kind of turn over and cool off a little bit. Still great, right? It was good inflation hedge. But once that turnover happened and you start the cooling off of gold, Bitcoin, then that was pretty much the inflection point. Bam, here we go. And we went from 10,000 to 64,000 in less than 6 months. Game time. It was awesome. We all had a lot of fun. Now we have a very similar setup. Gold is up significantly. It's up over 50% in 2025. People are like, wow, that was crazy. But it looks like it's peaked and starting to cool off now. And all of a sudden, you're now starting to see Bitcoin get a little bit of momentum to it. And so the question is, or what people are insinuating is there some relationship where once gold runs first and then it peaks and starts to cool, is that the catalyst for the Bitcoin, right? The great rotation from gold to Bitcoin. I did hear a pretty interesting anecdote. I have heard, I don't know how to confirm this, but I have heard that there are people who are showing up in like the Diamond District here in New York with all kinds of jewelry and stuff, that like gold jewelry, because now all of a sudden it's, $4,200 an ounce and they're just turning it in and there's like lines and stuff. I don't know if this is true. Like, we'll have to find somebody to try to confirm this, but that would signal to me the gold run, people are like turning in the gold, right, in order to get dollars. Then you basically just get the satisfaction of the demand. And so if that's the case and Bitcoin runs from here, it'd be a repeat of 2020. I don't like to extrapolate off of, kind of one single data point. But when you line the charts up, it looks awesome. Like, it looks like Bitcoin will go up. So let's see what happens.
It looks awesome. To his anecdote, again, it sounds like he was saying he's heard people talk about it. And obviously this is also anecdotal, but I have seen on social media a bunch of people literally melting down watches and going to the Diamond District and just cashing in their jewelry just for the price of gold. So I've seen this with my eyes. Obviously, it was a few cases. We can't really say that everyone is doing this. But again, if this is the case and we're seeing gold finally cool down a lot and some of that capital comes into Bitcoin, then everyone is connecting it to this. And this is what happened in 2020 is, as gold here, let me zoom in a little bit. And I've showed you guys this for, I think a couple of times on the show. And of course, who knows if this is exactly what's happening, but if it is, as Pomp was saying, we might be in for a good time. And we're always here for a good time. Maybe not a long time, but a good time. I really want to see the price run again, Sophie.
I just don't even care anymore.
I'm tired, boss.
I just don't even care anymore. I'm just grateful to have Bitcoin at this point and like hold something that isn't going to get massively devalued after today's announcement. But it's kind of getting tired, this narrative where it's like everything looks good. It sounds like when you go to a hospital and you're dying and a doctor tells you, I don't know what's wrong with you. Everything looks good. Your vitals are awesome, but you're just like literally feeling like the loss of life trickling out of your body every 5 seconds. That's what this bull run has felt like. And I'm tired, boss. Like, I'm tired.
I am totally tired. I was promised a bull run, Soph, and we haven't got it yet.
And maybe we will. Like, it might just be a question of confidence. Like, how much do we believe in this thing? How much do we believe in the fundamentals of Bitcoin? Everything is set up. The stage, it's almost like we're waiting for people to like get into the auditorium so that we could put on the show and so the bull run could just like go off. But I'm tired of this thing that everyone is saying, including us, saying like, the stage seems to be great. The ETFs are performing super well. The governments are adopting Bitcoin. France has a strategic reserve now all of a sudden, maybe. Like, who cares if the price isn't going up? Like, what does this do for my life? Aside from, great, my purchasing power isn't getting debased. That's awesome. However, we've sacrificed. We've been here early.
Though, to that point of your purchasing power not being debased, I think at this point, like, is that even true? Bitcoin's been flat all year, like it's been completely flat all year. So I think at this point, and I think year to date, we're up like 15%. So I think if you really look at I think so.
Actually, that's not bad.
Yeah. It's horrible, but
it is horrible for, that's the other part of this, right? Bitcoiners are really spoiled to the returns, and the longer you've held...
wait in the chat, when fiat gains.
Yes, seriously. No, but really, like, Bitcoiners are so spoiled to the expectation that we're supposed to get, like, at minimum a 5x. I'd be happy with a 2x at this point. And I
Dude,
bet
I'd be happy with just breaking all-time high with some conviction.
right, and I bet that we would still complain about it realistically. So
Okay, guys. So I just did a quick year to date here. So year to date, so if we are up 17.3%. So the CAGR so far this year, less than 20. Sailor's been saying 20% minimum. In the beginning of the year, we're like, man, that's so bearish. At this point, it's like, could we just get the 20% CAGR? Like, can we just get the 20% CAGR, please? Okay, fact checking myself in real time. We have beaten inflation just barely, I mean, it depends. If you believe the CPI numbers, we're killing it. If you believe the unofficial numbers, then who knows what the real unofficial inflation is. It's a lot of people have been saying it's in the double digits, maybe 10, 12, 15%. So maybe that's why, maybe we just cracked it. Maybe that's why we feel like it hasn't really been moving that much, because the real inflation is probably double digits.
yeah,
Bitcoin's up,
that's
17%
also
on the year. I know the CPI numbers are coming in a little hotter than the 2%. It's at 3%, but we all know those numbers are fake.
That's totally fake.
Yeah.
I verified that by doing groceries the other day. I was horrified by the amount of money that I was, and like, I'm usually the type of person that buys the exact same stuff, and it's always pretty much the same number at the end, like, that I swipe my card with, and it was significantly higher this week. Don't know why, but yeah.
Yeah, and look, I don't mean to pick on you, Ron, in the chat. You're my homie, bro. You're my homie. But he says it, and he's like one of the most bullish guys in the chat, and he's like, look,
yeah, we're all just being super real right now.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, look,
we're not gonna lie to you. We're not gonna, and we're all feeling it. Like, that's the thing. I'm tired of pretending that nobody feels it. Because we do. It doesn't mean that we're gonna sell. It doesn't mean that we've stopped believing in Bitcoin. It doesn't mean any of that stuff. It doesn't mean that we're bears. I still feel like this has to go to at least 200, in my opinion, at least like in the $200,000 range, right? Because of everything that Pomp just said in that video. I mean, the stage is so perfectly lit up right now for us to have an incredible bull run. And yet it is the passage of time. It's this like intangible thing that we can't see that is wearing people out. And it actually reminds me, and I'm going to cover this on my show dropping tomorrow, hopefully. It reminds me.
plug.
Subscribe. It's the same channel. It reminds me of The Big Short, when Michael Burry made the call that the housing crisis was going to happen. A lot of you might not remember, but he said it was going to happen in 2007. And it actually didn't happen until 2008. And those months in between must have been brutal, because this man put everything on the line. And I think a lot of us identify with that sentiment, that we have put everything on the line for years. Because I think he started this in 2005, right? So he waited all of this time, which in Wall Street, 2 years is an eternity. And then he had to wait a couple of more months. And that time must have felt like absolute purgatory, right? It must have felt psychologically draining.
Totally get what he went through right now.
I feel like I totally get it. I'm going to watch that movie later tonight just to like get back in the mindset that I know I'm right. I know we have to be right, because all of the facts align. This isn't like a feelings thing where it's like, I'm looking at everybody talking about it on Twitter, and that means that we have to go up because the community is making Bitcoin. Like, no, these are institutions. These are government institutions. This is BlackRock, okay? These are the people that own all of the homes in the United States. They're bullish on Bitcoin, and it's been their best performing asset. You're going to tell me that this stuff is not going to go up? I mean, it just like, it wouldn't make any sense. I still have my convictions 100%. And, you know, like someone said in the chat, yeah, this is 100% better than inflation, but I want more.
Yeah, chat on Rumble. It says Sophie's fed up. Nico shaking. But Satwise,
Nico is actually like holding it down pretty well, to be
I
honest.
don't know.
Like,
He's bearish.
No, not at all. You know, we actually had a conversation, and he'll probably tell you about it tomorrow, but he agrees that Wall Street is, you know, they're just shaking off weak hands. So, you know, don't be weak.
You know, I love that I'll tell Nico that, and then he'll repeat it to you like months later, like it's his original thought. And he just, dude, I get no love over here. He doesn't take anything I say seriously. Anyways, we do have a good comment in here by Satwise, and I think there is some signal here. Satwise Jenks goes, S&P 500 is up 15%. Opti, what does that tell us? Retail is not in when all our gains are similar as Wall Street. Wall Street now runs the show. And I've been saying that for a minute. Like, guys, you know, I know we've always been talking about the institutions coming into Bitcoin, and I've been kind of reiterating the be careful what you wish for. But I've been jokingly saying it's like we're trading the S&P 500 now. And if it's just S&P 500 with a little more, you know, a little more juice as of now, if, you know, 15% up this year, Bitcoin's up 17%, it's like, man, I really do miss the old days. I really do miss the old days. When I got in, it was a lot more fun.
That is the privilege of getting in early into Bitcoin. Remember what they say, you buy at the price that you deserve. And, you know, who's to say that this is worse than what, you know, people early on went through when they had to experience dumps of like 60 to 80%, you know, and ride that all the way down and then come all the way up. This is just going sideways, which is, you know, it's beneath our expectations, but it's still better than dumping to 80%, in my opinion.
Well, hopefully you are. Hopefully what you said does kind of come true in the sense, you know, you were talking about the Michael Burry analogy, and it took him an extra year. And of course, it is an anecdote. It is like a metaphor. But if we see something similar, again, this is, does art imitate reality or reality imitate art? Maybe Sophie, just maybe, means 2026 is when we pump.
Maybe. I mean, we
please, please, if you can hear us.
Well, here's the thing. Like, we were feeling that way towards the end of 2024 when we first reached 100,000. Trump was recently, you know, elected, and everything seemed like 2025 was going to be our year. And now we're here, right? Not to say that it's not going to be our year. I mean, we still have November and December to go. I mean, we have no idea what's to come, because at this point, we've made all the wrong calls, right? Bitcoin does what it's going to do anyway. And let's just, I mean, we got to just see what happens, right?
Someone in the chat, at least it isn't going down. Wait. Anyway.
I want my drummer sticks. I feel like that was like a coping mechanism for him.
For reals. Okay, guys. We're going to continue this conversation of a little bit of, is this bullish of what we're seeing right now? Because we did get a good, I want my money, Michael. Exactly. Man, I thought Michael Saylor was going to pump our bags. I guess we're wrong. To Michael, you are losing employee of the month. Anyways, we'll talk about, I think we did get a kind of interesting number come out in regards to Bitcoin above 100K. I probably, you know, one of the longer streaks of a price point that Bitcoin accumulates in, and I'll make my case why I think this is bullish. So we'll be right back.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, Ledin, the leader in Bitcoin-backed loans. Unlock the liquidity in your Bitcoin without having to sell your Bitcoin. They've issued $9 billion in loans to over 10,000 customers since 2018. I absolutely love these guys. Not only do I have an account with them, but I also have a loan. And what I love about them is that there are no monthly payments, and you could pay back the loan at any time. As soon as you send your Bitcoin as collateral, you'll have cash in your account within 24 hours. Over 1,000 five-star customer reviews, and they've never lost a single dollar or sat of customer money. Go to learn.ledin.io Starlink.com/simply today, and you'll get 0.25% off your first loan. I want to give a shout out to our partner, Sat123.com. Sovereignty isn't just about your money, it's about your communications too. When the grid goes down, most people go dark. Cell towers fail in hurricanes, cyber attacks, and blackouts. But satellite phones, they don't rely on local infrastructure. Iridium has 77 satellites in orbit, giving you a direct line anywhere in the US, even offshore. If you hold your own Bitcoin keys, you should hold your own comms too. Sat123.com also has everything you need to start building your Bitcoin citadel. Starlink, battery backups, Faraday bags to protect your hardware wallets, and much, much more. It's a one-stop shop for anyone serious about resilience and off-grid independence. Stay connected, stay independent, stay sovereign. Go to sat123.com/simply today and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the store. I want to give a shout out to our partner, BitKey. If you already self-custody your Bitcoin, you know the deal with hardware wallets by now. Complex setups, clumsy interfaces, and a seed phrase that can be lost, stolen, or forgotten. BitKey fixes that. BitKey is a multi-sig hardware wallet built by the team behind Square and Cash App. It packs a cryptographic recovery system and built-in inheritance feature into an intuitive, easy-to-use wallet with no seed phrase to sweat over. It's simple, secure, self-custody without the stress. Time named BitKey one of the best inventions of 2024. Get 20% off at bitkey.world. That's BITKEY.world with the code SIMPLY.
I'm holding in my hands the amazing BitKey. You want to use promo code SIMPLY for 20% off. Scan the QR code if you want to maintain your generational wealth so easy that your grandma can use it and you can gift it to all of your family. Am I doing it right? Am I doing the little tapping noises right?
I think you need to get it closer.
I think I need to get like longer nails for this thing.
Yeah, I totally need to. All right, anyways.
I turned it on by accident.
Anyways, guys, let's get into this. So, we did get a pretty good numbers, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I think this is actually low-key bullish, even though it doesn't feel like it. I know everyone in the chat, like they're saying simply get it together, Bitcoin's going up. Look, we're just summing up the feeling of everyone in the chat. Even the most bullish Bitcoiners right now are like, man, look, the sideways action's been brutal. It is what it is. We've been here before. We'll be here the next time it happens. We're going to be here for the long run, but we're only human. Can I vent for you guys? Can I be a real human instead of a robot on the show for you guys? Sheesh. Anyways, this is what I want to talk about because I think what we're seeing is actually incredibly bullish. So, Wicked here. Let me play this and hopefully. Okay. So, Bitcoin, this was today, or maybe he posted this yesterday. Let me go to the Wicked one so I can get the exact date. This was a couple of days ago. So we're past the 200 daily close, above 100K. You can see it. I'll let this play out for a little bit. So again, I know the consolidation, the sideways action, it feels kind of brutal, especially as, we were talking about, we've been saying this on the show for a while, that it does feel like maybe we are, sorry, I was trying to mess with this a little bit. Maybe we are feeling as if Bitcoin is underperforming because we all expected it to go a lot higher in 2025. And we're seeing right now, hey, we're going sideways. There's a lot of speculation on what's going on. Is the 4-year cycle over? Are the institutions in total control and they don't really want to see Bitcoin rip? Like, where's retail? What's going on? Are we no longer going to see, incredible gains in the market anymore? All that being said, the fact that we've held above 100K for this long, I think is showing us that this is still a healthy consolidation. I know we are looking at maybe a potential stairway to heaven type new market structure, which is one of the new memes going around that, look, we're going to pump. It's going to consolidate, and then it's going to pump again, and then consolidate. We're going to literally get bored to death here to $1 million per coin, etc. There was one other one from Wicked that I'm going to pull up right now, which I think is kind of showing us where potentially the price, or rather how the price is going to move. Did I like it? I thought I had this loaded up, but I didn't. Maybe I'll find it. Oh, here we go. Okay. He posed the question: how would you feel about the price action? Sideways chop for another 6 months, run up to 150K Q2 2026, sideways chop for another 6 months, and the epic run up to 200K. You can see it here, and that's the, picture perfect stairway to heaven. It just kind of pumps up, consolidates, chops, pumps up, consolidates, chops, pumps up again, consolidates, chops, pumps up. Maybe that's the new structure that we're in, guys. And I know it's not everything that we're used to, and we want to see the price get crazy and frothy, but this might be where we are right now. Again, so
we were promised a degen status.
Yeah, and
but we've settled down, and I think Bitcoin has really, I mean, we make the joke that Bitcoin has become our favorite stable coin, but it's actually stabilizing. It's unfortunately, but also
fortunately.
Yeah. Because
and to that point, this next tweet that I was going to bring up, Bitcoin's 90-day volatility has been this low in just 7.76% of its history, basically exclusively during late bear or early bull market. And each time it hits this low, Bitcoin's price has climbed higher over the ensuing 6 months. The coiled spring is very real. So again, are we seeing late bear market action, or has the bull run not even happened yet? Which obviously we would love for the bull run to not have happened yet, but it does feel like a coiled spring. It does feel like the fact we've consolidated for so long above 100K does make you feel like it's going to break out. And we are starting to also see the Bitcoin, the number of accumulating addresses. So people are buying it up right now to 100K. It is starting to look like people are gating their position. They're starting to see everything. Maybe all of the selling, or quote unquote selling, has subsided. And there's, once the sellers get exhausted and it turns into a buying market, that's quintessential bull run here. So look, we've been consolidating over 100K for over 200 days. I guess now it's like 205, 204. So I think the consolidation, lower volatility, I think it's, as someone in the chat said, any day now, even though we've been saying any day now for like 700 days. For like 2 years, we've been saying any day now, but
it's like
it feels it's coming.
It's like that scene of in The Dark Knight when the Joker is trying to do something to a hospital. I have to be
he's hitting the clicker.
He's hitting the clicker and nothing happens, and then all of a sudden something really big happens. That's what it feels like.
Let's hope. We can only hope. Okay, so it looks like we might be able to keep the show going. Because I was going to talk about rate cuts a little bit, and it looks like we might be able to go long enough so that we can talk about it live. So maybe I'll have Self looking, you guys in the chat. Maybe you guys will see what the announcement is, but we're going to chat about it a little bit. So we'll be right back after our last commercial break, and we will chat about what we can potentially see if we get some rate cuts.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, HIVE Digital Technology. Why HIVE in 2025? Unstoppable growth. As the first ever public miner, HIVE's position to quadruple their global footprint, making them one of the world's fastest growing miners in 2025. And with elite operations that consistently top the industry in Bitcoin mined per exahash, HIVE's now headquartered in the USA. They're lean and mean, they're green and clean, and they're rewriting the playbook on sustainable Bitcoin mining. You can catch the latest buzz at HIVE Digital Tech or at HIVEdigitaltech.com. I want to give a shout out to our partner, bitcoinben.io. If you're into freedom, Bitcoin, and building a real community, this is for you. Gain exclusive access to real-world, members-only, private clubs across the globe, featuring poker nights, expert-led classes, co-working spaces, educational meetups, live events, and more. Current locations include Sarasota, Nashville, Boston, Dallas, Las Vegas, and St. Louis, with new clubs launching soon in West Palm Beach, Scottsdale, Alabama, and beyond. Not to mention Bitcoin Ben's resorts in El Salvador. There's 3 of them, and they're absolutely beautiful. You'll also get access to the first fully backed Bitcoin bank with fiat ramps and savings accounts. It's called Private Key Bank, and you guessed it, it's based out of El Salvador. Go peer-to-peer with Bitcoin bulk buys, tap into home equity for long-term Bitcoin growth, and join their exclusive mining pools if you're interested in mining. What are you waiting for? Head over to bitcoinben.io, join today, where Bitcoin meets freedom.
Alrighty then, guys. So we're literally about 5 minutes away from hearing whether the Fed is going to cut rates, what this can potentially do to the market. Obviously, the idea is the markets, I think, and Bitcoin's probably reacting pretty favorably to it, but from most speculation, it's like a 99.9% chance that we are going to see at least a 25 bit cut. I know there's been speculations of something higher, but it seems like 25 bips are like completely locked in. Again, we got about 5 minutes before it should hit the Twitterverse. So I will kind of chat. We'll stick around for a little while longer, and hopefully we can see what is going on. But it seems like the cuts are pretty much locked in. Now, the real concern, I mean, we could also be wrong. Obviously, we have no clue. There has been I guess you could say kind of this political fight right now. Trump's been telling Jay Powell to cut rates. Too late, Powell, on cutting rates. So it seems like maybe the Trump administration is winning this. A lot of people are expecting the rate cuts to happen right now. I know a lot of Bitcoiners are like, dude, I thought we got into Bitcoin so we don't have to care about what happens from, the chair of the Fed. But as we've seen this year, the institutions are here. I would argue they're probably very favorably in control of what's going on with the price. They're all waiting on the sidelines, waiting for the uncertainty to pass. And of course, with these Fed rate cuts, it does align perfectly with what the Trump mandate is. And of course, what we know about the national debt and where the economy is and global economies are right now. Essentially, as was summed up perfectly by Lynn Alden, they can't stop this train. They have to continue to print money. And of course, we do have about $9 trillion in debt that we need to refinance. This is why they want to lower the debt so that it's easier for them to pay off. But of course, with these rate cuts down, it basically means easier money in the system, more liquidity in the system. And this is why, as Bitcoiners, we've been talking about this constantly, is like, look, if they're going to cut rates, it essentially means that they're going to expand liquidity here. We've all been kind of wondering when the money printer is going to go on. It's no longer if, it's a when. Of course, we've heard they say they're going to stop quantitative tightening, which doesn't necessarily mean they're going to start easing, but it does essentially lead to the idea of money printers about to go burr very, very soon. But anyways, I did see this interesting tweet this morning, which is making a pretty good case here. I don't know who this is. Ted Pillows. Survived 2 cycles, still here, turning on chain and macroeconomic signals into trades. Love it. Anyways, he goes, Bitcoin dropped 6 to 8% after the last 3 FOMC meetings, and it made a new all-time high before the next FOMC meeting. Will this pattern repeat again? And I don't know if you've been watching the price this morning, but it did look like we went back into the CME gap, futures gap. It looks like that was kind of close. It could potentially go a little lower, maybe like a K lower down. So, it looks like, I know I've said this before all the time, but is this finally the last dip before we start to rip? I could hope so. I can only hope. So we'll just hang around for a little bit. So again, if we do see something, I'm sure we're going to see a little bit of volatility. I don't know if you guys were watching the last FOMC meeting, but I was literally sitting there with Jerome Powell talking. And then I had the price of Bitcoin on a 1 minute chart, and you could just see the fluctuations, and it was so volatile for about like an hour or two. Obviously, right as he was speaking, right when the announcement happened, the price was going crazy. So we might be literally on the verge of some volatility. Maybe I'll put the 1 minute.
It's at 2:30.
It's going to be at 2:30.
Yeah, I'm on the stream.
Well,
site
that's when
right
he
now.
speaks. Doesn't it come out? I think it comes out before he speaks. He's speaking at 2:30, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it comes out at 2, and then he's going to go speak, and then we'll see how the market reacts to it. So we'll hang out for a little bit. I do have the 1 minute chart here. I don't know. Maybe we'll here. I'll pull it up so we can all watch it together, just for
Will
shits
this
and
be
giggles.
the rate cut that sends us into the stratosphere? Likely not. Likely not. You know, my expectations are.
Here's the
low.
1 minute chart, guys. Let's see. We will chill. We'll chill here. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm guessing. All right. Let me see if I can find this real quick for you guys on Twitter. Do we get the announcement? Let's see. They just cut interest rates. Okay. They cut. All right.
Obviously.
Obviously. So cut is in, guys. Let me see if I can find whether it was 25 bips or 50 bips. So
50.
bear
50.
with. Oh, okay. Here's Bitcoin Mag. The Federal Reserve cut interest rates by 25 bips, guys. So the 99.9% odds of them cutting interest rates by 25 bips was confirmed. Oh, look at this 1 minute chart. Okay. So as I told you, volatility back in the market. Oh, there we go. We're going green. Sorry, guys. I do use blue and red on my charts because I am colorblind and they start to blend. So blue is green. Red is, of course, red. And it looks like we're dumping. So in real time, Bitcoin dumping. So I will go back to this real quick. The last FOMC meeting, Bitcoin dropped 6 to 8% before it started to rip. So if you are newer in the market, obviously don't get shaken out. And this is kind of the conversation Sophie and I were talking about earlier. I think what's becoming very, very clear is since the institutions are here and they are kind of in control of the price for now, it does seem like they are trying to bore us to death here, and they're trying to get your coin. So, you know, if you're seeing volatility, or maybe if you're talking to your friends and family, because if you're here, you're probably a Bitcoiner. But for the people that are newer, or rather maybe for your loved ones back home, you can just show them, hey, guys, like, look, just bear the volatility. I'm telling you, it'll be all right. You don't need to sell your coin and get shaken out. Bitcoin is not dumb. I know it, dude. It's a 1 minute chart, and what it do? Let's see. Oh, now we're pumping. This is 1 minute chart. It's a 0.27 decline, dude.
Breaking.
Half a percent.
Bitcoin is going sideways.
Yeah, exactly. There's 1 minute. So look, I'll go to the 1 day chart, and you know it's nothing, but it did dump on the news. Well, a baby dump, a dump for ants. But hey, it looks like I think it looks kind of what we've been saying. The price of Bitcoin, whiplash, it's what's for dinner. Exactly. Yeah, this one, Bitcoin Capital, already dumped yesterday and this morning. Yeah, I think that's what the market is telling us right now. I think it is pricing in the rate cut, and hey, it's going higher, guys. So maybe that was the last dip down to 100. Oh, okay, 1 minute chart, dude.
Opti, stop talking.
This is why I like watching the 1 minute chart.
Every time Opti said, "Oh my God, we're pumping," I'm like, "It's over."
No, we're not pumping. But
It's
look at the
over.
volatility. Look at the 1 minute chart volatility. You just love to see it.
I hate to see it.
I love watching 1 minute chart.
This makes me nervous.
Guys, this is one of my favorite pastimes. I'm not gonna lie. You just sit here and you watch the 1 minute chart, and you let your emotions fluctuate on the 1 minute chart. Do not trade the 1 minute chart. I'll tell you that much, but it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch. All right, guys. So, yeah, when this is actually when Powell speaks later, that's when you buy the dip. Exactly, guys. So usually at least from what I've noticed, you get the rate cut announcement, then the market kind of digests this information for 30 minutes. And then when Jerome Powell kind of talks, if he's, dovish or hawkish on this, or, he's bearish or bullish, or he's just kind of lukewarm, you will see more volatility in the market. And if he says something that is extremely bad, you'll see the price dip. And then that's probably the best. The 1 minute chart is for psychopath. Dude, I don't trade the 1 minute chart. I just like to look at the 1 minute chart, bro. Again, my dopamine is fried, and I need some life. I need to feel emotions again, guys. I'm so detached here. I need to feel emotions. Okay, so I look at the 1 minute chart. But there we go, guys. It's official. 25 big cut.
Not exciting,
but it is what it is. It is kind of showing us a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about and really kind of been speculating on that is happening. Of course, they want to lower the interest rates. They're most likely going to get these lowered interest rates. So easy money.
We're more than likely going to go through this all over again in November.
Yeah. So it's slightly ticking side. Hey, guys, guess what? Breaking news. It's sideways again. All righty. Hold on. Opti is giving selfie anxiety with the 1 minute chart.
Put that one up.
Oh, there we go.
Real.
Okay, here we go. It finally.
Oh, yes.
Finally the real dump is in.
Amazing.
Okay, so current price 111. Again, the CME gap close is like 110 and some change. So if I was a betting man, which I'm really not, I would expect maybe it goes down into 110 for a little bit, and then it'll probably recover. Bull starts in Q2 2026. 0.25 rate cut sends Bitcoin sideways. Love to see it. Anyways, guys, there you go. Breaking news. The Fed does cut rates. Obviously,
and absolutely nothing happens.
Yeah, and it goes more sideways. So you just,
you love to see it.
You love to see it. Anyways, guys, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll see if anything exciting in the price happens in the next couple of next hour or so. So, lock in, maybe buy the dip. Maybe this is a buying the dip opportunity. I don't know if it's the last one, but hey, it's some cheap sats. If anything, Trump gave us some cheap sats in 2025. Maybe we look back at this and we're like, all right, it went all according to plan. It's all going according to plan. It's all going according to plan. Nice. I get 15 more sats than before the cut per dollar. Love it. Love it. All right, guys. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for showing up late. Thank you for dealing with my tardiness here. It's really not tardy, guys. I'm going to start 12:30-ish and some change some days. Okay. All right. So I would just add that to your schedule. No, you come in at 12:16 and you hang out with people in the chat. Anyways, guys, everything will be fine. We love you guys. We will see you tomorrow. Get outside, get some sun. Maybe log off Twitter for a little bit. Enjoy your life a little bit. Bitcoin will be here for you when you come back. All right, guys. Peace out. We'll see you tomorrow.
Today's episode was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.